Welcome the audience. So we are now recording a live podcast for Commerce Talks. So you can listen to this talk even later on the Commerce Talks channels on Spotify and iTunes. And my guest today is Sayed, is it pronounced correctly? From Danube Home. So we're going to talk about the furniture and home and living industry here in the region and how this is to be compared with the more Western regions like Europe or the US. So to kick it off here, live at the Seamless in Dubai, please tell us a bit who you are actually and what you experienced in the furniture industry. And then let's talk about Danube for a minute.
Sure. Thank you very much, Alex. It is really a pleasure to be a part of this podcast. Just to give you a small introduction, my name is Sayed Habib, and I work in the capacity of Director for the Business Development as well as e-commerce and franchisee for Danube Group. So just to give you a little bit of background about the Danube Group. So Danube is one of the largest conglomerate based out of Dubai. So where we are present in all Middle East and North African countries, and where we have three businesses. We are pioneer in the building material business. So anything and everything connected with the building material, we are one of the number one building material company in this region. Then as a logical extension of the building material to the end user, we started with Danube Home. So Danube Home is a one-stop solution for the complete home need. So like for example, in the Germany or in the any Western world, you do have a brands like Bauhaus or B&Q. So we are a similar kind of concept here. And but here we have redid the concept suitable to this market based on the customer buying behavior. And the third segment which we are into is the property development. So we have Danube Properties. And
I've seen one of your property names very close to the Burj Khalifa. Then there's like one very high building with your name on top. We're going to focus today on Danube Home, which I think we need to understand a bit better. So if you would like to customers from the European markets about home and living brands, first name that comes up is IKEA. So is it the same thing here, or is it just not a thing happening here in the region?
Yeah, of course, IKEA is one of the pioneer and they are one of the inspiration for a lot of companies. But having said that, there's a difference in this market because here the customer psyche, the buying pattern is much more different from the European side. Like, here the families are the large families. Here is a culture of living together at one home. So therefore, IKEA furnitures, if you will see, is largely more for a nuclear family or more for a different kind of usage. But here the customer's requirements are different. Of course, IKEA is a very renowned player, but beside IKEA, there's multiple other players are there. And but one of the key thing that what different this market from the European world is that the kind of taste of the people are there. When you talk about Dubai, so generally in UAE, there are more than 190 nationalities who lives here. So you have Asians, you have Europeans, you have African. So any retailer who try to do the business here, so then there you have to do the complete concept of the market from understanding the each and every particular need of the consumer. So of course, the market is booming and there's a lot of positivities are there. And when we moved from Danube Home, from Danube Building Material to Danube Home, our objective was not to compete with the furniture segment. Rather, we want to create a concept that where as a customer, you get into one store and you buy anything and everything under one roof. So we believe or we focus more on the lifetime value of the customer. So when a customer is building their house or he buys house from a developer, say he got the roof, he got the flooring, then whatever he need from now. So the first product is the bathroom fittings. We got an amazing brand known as Milano. So anything and everything connected to the bathroom fittings we sell. Beside that, we do the tiling, the electrical, the hardware, the DIY, everything. Then we do the furnitures. Then we do the home decor, homeware, home furnishing, as well as the outdoor furniture.
That would be a dream for like most of the European customers because they have to find like 50 different like carpenters to do all the stuff. But let's focus like for a moment on the customer journey of the typical Middle East. There's no typical Middle East customer, but let's say people are moving out here of their home after finishing the university, getting their first job. Are they moving into a home with furnitures already, or is this kind of apartment empty and they have to get everything from the beginning?
Yeah. So here the culture is a little bit different. Unlike the West, generally the young people, when they come out of the university, generally they don't move out from the home. They stay with their own parents only. That is the average culture. But having said that, when you buy a new house, when you get married or you move away to the new house or you buy a new house, so generally the houses doesn't come with the furnished apartment. So those house, when you say a furnished apartment, you will get a kitchen, you will get a kitchen appliances, you'll get the lighting solution. But so far as the furnitures, curtains, blinds, wallpaper, or any decoration you want to do, that you need to do it by yourself. But the beauty of this Dubai largely is that we do have a huge floating population, that people come here, work for 2 or 3 years, move away. So there is, people keep on moving. And this city is growing very fast. If I will give you stats of only Dubai, our population of Dubai 2 years before, 3 years before was 2 million people. Now it is at 3.5 million people. And if you will believe the stats, they talk about that within next 3 years, they want to make the population to 5 million people. So when the population increases, customers goes up, then there is a lot of demand in the real estate. When the real estate grow, then people want to buy the furniture also accordingly.
Okay, so you don't see the same development like we have like in Europe. When you move out from your parents' apartment in Europe, usually you're buying like cheap furniture first, like the entry pricing level of IKEA, I would say. And then let's say after 5 to 10 years, you start like replacing furniture. You get a better kitchen table. And then after 10, 15 years, then we are telling this is the third generation furniture purchase. Then you buy something for the really good stuff. So maybe you can afford a sofa for $10,000. Maybe you can afford something really, really tailor-made for you. And you say this kind of, let's say, different customer journeys over like 2 to 3 generations, we don't have here because it's such a vivid market.
Absolutely. So here the culture generally, the 90% of the places, after you complete your graduation or you start your job, majority of the people, they don't move out. Like what happens is that here, either they go for study to Europe or they go for study to the US or somewhere. If they move out there, then they start living there only. And whenever they come back to Dubai as well, so they want to stay together with their parents. But having said that, if now a lot of places when they want to get married or they want to move in, so at that time only they try to spend a larger money. It's not that they do the entry level, then after that do the high end level. So here the purchasing pattern again depends upon what is your income level and what kind of house you are moving in. Like for example, if somebody is moving to the studio apartment, then he will spend around say €1,000 to buy the all furnitures to put it in the one house.
$1,000 for like one apartment.
One studio apartment. So where you buy a sofa bed for $200, $300, you buy a coffee table, you buy a TV unit, you buy some small furniture. So 1,000 to 1,500 euro you spend and you buy. And if you're moving to a one bedroom apartment, maybe you spend 2,500 to 3,000 euro. And you go to the bigger house, then you spend more money. And having said that, if you move, depend upon your own capacity, if you move to much, much bigger house and you look for a larger perspective, you do that. But one of the biggest thing here is people generally, they don't use furniture for 5 years or 10 years. People use furniture maximum for 2 to 3 years. And they believe on changing the furniture in a much more frequent way in comparison to other part of the world.
Why is that? So why would they change like a good working sofa or furniture table?
So the idea is that here, the people, they generally believe on moving their house from starting with somebody want to stay in a studio or one bedroom, then he move to 2 bedroom or he move to 3 bedroom. When they move from smaller house to bigger house, they tend to change the furniture. Second thing also, in the journey of a customer, if you will see, Dubai as a city is expanding. So today the distance from Sharjah to Jebel Ali is 65 to 70 kilometers. So somebody who initially is not making more money, you work in Jebel Ali, is staying in Sharjah. But next year you'll move to 10 kilometer away, then 20 kilometer away, then come to more closer and go to the bigger, more vibrant place. So therefore the movement is much more higher. And I said there's a lot of floating population. People keep on coming and going, so that impact.
Okay, from a customer perspective, I'm getting like the differences to the market. Let's focus a bit on the channel perspective, because I would have assumed that the e-commerce share here in the market is still very small. And you said you have an integrated approach, so you're building the house, giving the kitchen and the furniture. So how important is the digital experience, the digital customer journey?
See, digital today is, it is not a choice anymore. It's a compulsion, whether from a retail perspective. Now, any consumer, your journey of any buying behavior start from the digital only. So your discovery stage start from the digital. So digital is very, very important. But yeah, coming to the furniture industry, if I speak about, traditionally the product line is certain like that where you feel that if you want to buy a phone, you know that this is an iPhone 12, 13 Pro Max. You know about it. You go online, order, you get the material. Or you want to buy a shirt, you say that I'm spending €30, €40, €50. I can place the order and can buy it. But when you talk about a furniture, you want to see the comfort, you want to see the durability, you want to see the fabric. So there's a touch and feel is attached to it. So this industry was not impacted that much of digital evolution in terms of the e-commerce. But of course, the customer start the journey. If you want to buy a sofa, you want to go online, Google it, try to search who are the different players, what is the pricing, what are the things like that. But the commerce, the transaction was not happening much. But COVID has accelerated the effort. What was supposed to happen in 24 or 25, it has happened in 2021. So now majority of the people have come back, and there was the stores were closed. People didn't have any option. And during the COVID, one of the industry which has gone above the roof is furnishing industry. Because when you're staying at your home become everything. Home was your living room, home was your dining room, home was your office, home was your gym.
So you're coming out of 2 good years now.
Yeah. Of course. So now we are in a different phase where, the priority has changed. So when that happened and the stores were closed, then customer has only one option to buy online. So, but now that has given a cultural shift in the consumers. Now customer understand that they can buy online furniture as well, and they don't need to have a hassle to go to a store, park your car and go through all the angle. So yes, answering to your question, there is a huge positive shift in terms of the digitalization of the industry as well as the product development.
How many stores are you running here in the Dubai region?
So in the UAE, we have two business. One is the company owned operation, and then we have the franchisee. So in company owned, we do UAE, Oman, Bahrain. So in this 3 countries together, we have 20 stores, where there are 12 stores in UAE and rest in the other 2 countries. And we are doing the franchising, which is outside UAE. Large presences in Africa. So in the African region, we have 18 stores. So total, we have 38 stores.
And the Danube Home store, how can I imagine such a store? Is it like a big IKEA? Is it more exclusive? Would I find a store in the Dubai Mall, for example?
No. So we don't believe on the mall business. So our majority of the business are the standalone.
We will go deeper in that in a minute.
Yeah. So we are more in the standalone store. And you can't find us in Dubai Mall, but you can find us next to Mall of Emirates. So we got a big 9,000 square meter store. And you cannot perspective like IKEA. But what is our business model is we give a larger assortment to the customer, larger choice in a smaller format. So like, for example, if I go to a furniture store, instead of 100 bedrooms, you'll find the 30 bedrooms. But those 30 bedrooms are curated as per the need of the customer or the customer segment with whom we are targeting.
Okay, got it. So 9,000 square meters, that is quite sizable. So, and from the cut, let's say there's like 2,000 customers coming to a store on a daily basis. So how many of those customers would have been informed over their purchasing decision before online? So how many customers have you seen online?
So, I feel at the moment, it's a very, we are now very, very aggressive in the e-commerce business as well. So therefore we do a lot of advert and the customer psyche, but I feel 60 to 70% of customer, they do the research online. They do the discovery phase. They choose the product, what they want to buy. So far as the high-end products or the high-value products are concerned. Like if you want to buy a leather sofa for $1,500 or you want to buy a bathtub, you do the research online. But when you come to buy an impulse item, you want to buy a pillow, you want to buy a fragrance, you want to buy a jet spray or some mixer. So at that time, you don't do the research online. You just come to the store, see the range, and whatever you like, you just pick it up. But when you do a decision of buying everything heavy, then you go into that.
Okay, got it. And the merchandise you're offering in the stores, is it all owned by Danube Home, or is there like third-party brands presenting in the stores?
95% of our assortment is a private label owned by us, which we have a team of our own buying team, and we have our offices across the globe where we source, we design, and we procure by ourselves.
So in the podcast, you're now a guest in Commerce Talks. We are very critical about brick and mortar experiences. For furniture, obviously, it makes sense. And in Europe, we have a very big wave of dying malls. So obviously, the big mall concept in Europe is not working. Yesterday, I've learned here in Dubai, that's the only space you can meet because it's so warm everywhere. So people go into the mall, doing like entertainment, going to cinema, going food, because I understand it now that there's a reason for that. And if I were like the mall owner, I would say, Sayed, it totally makes sense to be there because all your customers are there. So you can have a showroom or whatever to get in contact with your customers. What's your answer to the mall owner?
See, like you are absolutely right. Like the culture of UAE is like this. Like in the Middle East, it's a hot. Therefore, the mall was an entertainment space where you go there and you find everything there. But having said that, now the whole dynamics is changing. Now there used to be a time 2 years before there has to be an 8-month hot season and 4-month cold season. But now it's going 7 to 8, and there's a lot of street shops are there. But now still, if you want to buy something which is fashion, jewelry, then you go there. But when you talk about the home segment, you need a larger space. When you have a larger space, your rental costs become much more higher. And it is an inconvenience for a customer because customer comes as a destination to buy and to explore. And we are a mall in ourselves because we are selling everything for the home. So therefore, going to a mall and paying the money for that, it doesn't make sense. So therefore, if you are a mall line, there's another culture also. You have a bigger mall with a larger stock, and next to that, you create a standalone. So there you give a convenience of a consumer for the parking, as well as you have a lower rental, and whether you have a larger efficiency on the work. So, and today when you do the business, your all cost sectors are high. Your customer acquisition cost is much more higher. Your delivery cost is much more higher. If you pay the higher rental as well, then you cannot sustain. So therefore, you need to have a balance. How do you take it up?
And what is then the delivery philosophy here? So if you order a pillow, or if you buy a pillow in one of your malls, I guess you just take it with you in a car. If you order, let's say, a sofa, what is the delivery time, the make to order time and the delivery time here?
There is not a much concept of make to order. Majority of the inventories are available in the warehouse, which is being delivered. So generally, the delivery time is between 3 to 7 days. That is the generally turnaround time. But during some peak sale time, it can go a little bit high to 15 days or 20 days or like that. But generally, we deliver between 3 to 5 days. But in online, we are delivering in 48 hours if your order value is more than $500.
And do you have all the assortment available online, which you're showing in the stores? And second question there, is your stores already also like the logistics centers, the warehouses, or do you have like a central warehouse for that?
Okay. The first answer is yes. We have whatever is there in the store, it is there available in online. But on top of it, we do have a 20-30% more SKUs, which are only online exclusive, understanding the consumer behavior of the online. Now, coming back to the second question, yes, we keep the cash and carry product in our store where customer can buy from there. But for the heavy and bulk items, we have a centralized warehouse where the delivery happens from there. Because unlike the West, here there is no culture of DIY. So people don't believe on the fixing the furnitures or fixing the things by themselves. So 90% of the product, there are the help who come to your home and they fix it for you.
Okay, that's a challenge for IKEA's business, because 90% of the IKEA customers, I don't think they believe in it, but they have to do it okay. And do you see other Western brands coming into that market trying to storm them? Now when e-commerce plays an integral part in the customer journey, it obviously opens the window for other brands that can just sit, let's say, in Switzerland and say, okay, let's do a Dubai-focused online experience. Let's see how many customers would buy the Vitra furniture from our store.
It sounds very easy. It sounds very exciting. But I know, Alex, you must know it better today, that your customer acquisition cost is much, much, much higher. Earlier, if you had to pay 1 cent to get a session, now you need to pay 3 cents to get that session. So your acquisition cost is much more higher. Your shipping cost and delivery cost is also not that easy. So that is also going high. So it can be a short-term plan that you want to test the water. So you are based out of Switzerland or out of Sweden. You want to operate the business here. But if you have a long-term perspective and you want to make it better, then you need to have a physical presence. You need to have a physical warehouse, and you need to have a long-term view to operate the business. It won't be that easy to operate the business like that.
What e-commerce share would you expect for Danube Home in the next 5 to 10 years? So let's say 2030, when really everybody knows how to use an online app and everybody knows that this kind of delivery works out. What could be the online share in your case?
See, I am now a prime believer of the fact that, there are 2 points. One is the experience, and another is the convenience. So retail is going to stay because retail or brick and mortar give you the experience. But e-commerce is going to give you convenience. So the best model is where you combine the both concepts together, where you give the experience as well as you give the convenience. So from a Danube perspective, when we see 2030, I feel that we will come out of structure of a store of 9,000 square meter. Rather, you can have a much more smaller store where it will be more of an experience center, where you give a face to your brand, where customer can come, touch and feel, see the product, lodge their concerns or the complaints or the feedback, and to deliver the product. So today, if I'm in a store, if I'm putting 50 sofas, I might be putting only 20 sofas, and then I show the all other product digitally. So then my 70 to 80% of the business will happen through this mix, which we call it Physi-Digital. But if I will answer your question straight, today my contribution is 18% of my revenue is coming from e-commerce. I expect by 2030, 70% of revenue will come from e-commerce.
We had one or two guests actually in Commerce Talks from the Dutch market. And in the Dutch market, we see new financing models for the furniture industry. So people are not buying very expensive box spring beds now, let's say a box spring bed for like 10,000 euros, but they lease it on a yearly basis or two, which even sounded to me, and we are the neighboring market in Germany, sounded super weird. But this is obviously something for the living setup in the Netherlands, which is very close to what you've explained here in the MENA region, because people are not living like very long in one apartment. They are switching apartments often. Then they want to have the oak furniture in their kitchen, but they don't want to pay 5,000 euros, but they would be able to lease this kind of furniture for 50 euros or $50 a month. Is this something that could work here in this region?
One of my very close friend in India, he has co-founded a company, and he's doing extremely well. And they call it as a lending for furniture rental company. The business model or ethos of it working, I think that for Middle East market, we are 10 years behind it. Because, when you lease a product, the concept is very nice, but you need to look about the sustainability of the business. So if I am renting you out today a sofa, and after 6 months you give me back, then how do I reuse it again? So when you have to reuse it again, then the product has to be much more sustainable, much more stronger. And I need to have a investment in terms of taking care of the product in the proper way. So it requires altogether a different kind of ecosystem and the DNA to build that business up. So answering to your question, the concept is nice. If someone present it, a lot of people will be there that instead of BNPL, buy now, pay later, rather I will do it and I will go, I pay you on a monthly basis. Concept is going to work for sure. But the operator, how sustainable you make the business is not that easy. So you can operate it after 6 months, 8 months, 1 year, 2 years, you need to pull it out. So if you want to make a sustainable business, then it has to come through a much, much more stronger network and larger base.
Then my last question here for this market is obviously the European markets are heavily involved by Amazon. And I guess Amazon is also around here. Amazon is selling everything. And in the furniture industry, there was always like the big fear, okay, if Amazon is now successfully selling kitchen furniture or other furniture, that's going to be like a hard sell for every other furniture business, especially in the entry level categories. Does Amazon or other platforms like Noon, do they play a role in your category? Is this kind of a challenge for you, or would you say, no, they're not focused enough?
See, today, what Amazon has achieved is it's an example in itself. Today, I say Amazon is not a product company, it's a search engine. So anything you want to buy, any product, you go to Amazon and you search from there. So of course, but having said that, if you want to do the furniture business in this part of the world, it requires a different kind of DNA. Like your logistics, reverse logistics, delivery, as well as your overall the content development of the product, which requires a lot of involvement of the private level work, and it requires a different kind of work, which I feel none of these players, whatever the name you took, they have the DNA to develop this level now. Of course, if you want to do it in a couple of years, they can do that. Right now, they are very, very relevant, but their relevancy is working as a marketplace where they take the product from the multiple retailers who are around, like we also sell in their platform. So answering to your question, at the moment, they are not the threat. And I don't see also when I speak to them as well in this part of the world, I don't see that they got that kind of vision where they want to develop the things by themselves. But for like us, that is a good channel to use it. We can complement to them and we can work and take it up from there.
Sayed, thank you for your time. I hope I find some time tomorrow in the evening to maybe visit one of your stores. Would be a pleasure. And see you next time on Commerce Talks then. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alex. Really, it was an amazing experience talking to you. Thank you very much.